Well, hello! Welcome to the show. It is, what is today? Sunday, March 29th, 2020. For some reason, I almost said 2016, which is, I don't know where that came from. So, anyway, hello, Zach. How's it going?
Hello. All right.
So, anyway, there we go. I changed some things on the, so I've got the little Elgato Stream Deck over here, and they must have made some updates to it that I didn't know about. So like now I can actually set up scenes in here and like have them go into the preview monitor, and it just works all in OBS. I don't have to like before I had to like have like little hotkeys set up and things like that, or like a sequence, and now that's not a thing anymore. So that's kind of cool. But anyway,
You know.
so guess who was on? You need to explain something to me. What was up last week?
What?
Where were you?
I was at a
Family.
Yeah, I was literally at a family function because apparently being part of the problem is a great idea.
Yeah, it's supposed to be practicing that social distancing, Zach.
Well, don't worry, I haven't left the house in days.
I was like,
Doing my part.
come
now.
on. If there's ever been a better excuse for you to not have to attend a family function, it was this whole coronavirus pandemic thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, I know, right?
But like, okay, so where was this? Like in town?
Yeah, I was in town.
Why was this not canceled?
I don't know.
Oh goodness gracious! Like,
Well, I mean, I don't know. Don't worry about it. It's done. Nobody got sick, so we got.
as far as you know, as far as you,
yes.
as far as you know so far, where the frick?
Oh, it's funny with the level of paranoia floating around that
So I'm glad that came up because here's the thing: I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on this whole coronavirus thing? Is it? Do you think we're making a big deal out of it? Do you think we're not doing enough? Or like, I guess where are you?
we should be concerned about it. Should
Okay,
we be
so
doomsday prepping and like, hoarding toilet paper? No.
so you're on the
Do we need to build bunkers in our backyards? No.
so okay, but
Should we probably stay home for a month? Probably.
okay, so you're in that boat right there where you're like, yeah, we probably should be taking it seriously, like what they're saying. You're not like in the boat of like, oh, it's all a hoax and things like that.
Well, I thought that the coronavirus was a government hoax so that they could get you to take the new vaccines for it that that goes with the 5G mind control. I mean, I saw it online. Like,
Oh,
it was a pretty legit article.
Did you actually?
Like, I don't know, the vaccine goes into your blood, and then the mind control waves from the 5G, resonate with, and then they got control of you, right?
Did you actually see something that like is actually talking about that? Or are you just making all this up?
I think I saw something funny about that somewhere.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was like an actual.
I didn't
article.
make that up. No, I did not make that up. But I didn't actually see an article called that.
Okay.
I heard something funny like that somewhere.
I wasn't actually sure if there was like actually an article that like actually had. Sorry, everyone, I'm adjusting volume levels here, but I wasn't actually sure if there was like an actual like article that you saw about that. Or
I
not.
bet there is somewhere. I bet there is somewhere. You know it's true.
We had this an individual. Okay, we won't give any genders or anything like that, but we had an individual come in, and he's talking about how he was like reading all this stuff. He doesn't believe in it, but like, I'm like, okay, yeah, you've gotten into like some conspiracy kind of theory websites or something like that. It's like, okay. But yeah. Anyway. So let's really quickly talk about how this whole pandemic has been affecting people. In terms of like, so the college is locked down right now. So me and Zach were talking off camera about some stuff, which will remain between us. But anyway, we were talking about, I was saying I've had a lot more time to do stuff. And it's not because I'm still working. My employer, as I think I said last week, has been considered an essential business. The services that we provide are services that not only benefit our communities, but healthcare workers and things like that. If I give too much away, people are going to like kind of figure out where I work, so I can't do that. I just don't want to share that information publicly. Anyway, so yeah, but classes, my commute to school has gone from like 30 minutes to like 3 seconds.
Oh, I bet. You're going in person still? What?
No, I travel from my bed to my desk chair here for a Zoom session. So that's how we've been having class. Which, you know, if you think about it, my particular degree, the IT program,
No problem.
like, yeah, for us, like, no problem.
Absolutely no trouble.
Right, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, we're having classes online, sure.
By the way, watch out for a certain feature on Zoom. I'm not sure if you can tell if it's enabled, but it's supposed to be able to tell the host of the meeting whether you have the window info. So if you feel like, you know, scrolling through something else while you're on the meeting, they might be able to tell.
Okay. Well, so last week, on Wednesday, 8 o'clock is rolling around. That's when class is, which is rather early for somebody who's a night owl. And I was like, I really don't want to get out of bed. So I grabbed my iPad, loaded the Zoom app up on it. I was laying in bed with the Zoom app open on the iPad. But hey, I was still in class.
You don't have a camera.
I was still nobody on our stream except for the instructor is showing anything that's going on.
That's good.
So we're just all audio.
So nobody. So basically, what you're saying is nobody knows that I'm like looking at the other screen the whole time. Got it.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Nobody knew that I was laying in bed. So. I did eventually have to get out of bed because we hopped on separate Zoom sessions to like work in group teams and things like that. So I had
Sounds like a logistical nightmare, to be honest.
Not really. It's actually worked out really well for all of us. But again, we're all techies, so you know, for us, it's like, easy enough. So, I actually
techie or not, that doesn't mean, and I haven't really used Zoom much, so I can't say for sure whether that's true or not, but that doesn't mean that some applications can't be piles of code.
I think Zoom has honestly done a pretty decent job, considering how many people are using it right now. So,
well, yeah,
the usage of it has like spiked for all this kind of stuff. But anyway, let's talk about topics for this week real quick here. So, Yelp is in a little bit of trouble. You've heard of Yelp before, haven't you, Zach?
Yes.
We got some Apple news in here. Got a couple of Apple stories. Obviously your Microsoft news, staple of the show. NVIDIA GeForce Now. We'll talk a little bit about them. And Verizon. What are they doing amongst all of this? And this time, it's not actually something dumb. Wow. Shocker. And with that, let's roll the intro. All right. So, yeah, Yelp. To stop auto-creating fundraisers after outrage from business owners, Zach.
What do you mean by auto-creating fundraisers?
Literally, auto-creating a fundraiser. So Yelp has paused an effort in partnership with GoFundMe that automatically opted tens of thousands of small businesses into fundraisers.
Why did they do that?
Well, so it happened. Okay, so they rolled this back after it happened, after like complaints from restaurant and bar owners, but they initially launched the initiative earlier this week in response to ongoing the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Basically, it was so that customers could support their local, these local businesses and things like that. Of course, here's the thing though: they did this without informing any of the participants. Like, okay.
Does seem unfortunate.
And the process for opting out of these fundraisers, once you actually found out that you have one set up for you, was unnecessarily cumbersome. I don't know if it still is.
Not really sure if I'm surprised about that.
Anyway, so eligible businesses had the feature added to their pages on Tuesday, and it was designed, like I said, for people to support these local businesses. Which, okay, like all these small, mom and pop shops are being affected by this thing right now, and so I think Yelp was, they're looking at themselves like, oh, we're gonna be the good guy here and try to help these small businesses out by, setting up GoFundMe pages for them. The problem is that so the information was provided on how to claim the support from these fundraisers that was set up, except for Yelp said that it had come to their attention that some businesses did not receive the notification.
Okay. Bit of a problem there, I think.
And so here's the thing. So some people said that they would have preferred to actively opt in, meaning that like they weren't against this whole GoFundMe idea thing, but they would have appreciated being able to say, yes, I would like this to be a thing that appears on my page, not just here. Let's turn it on automatically for you. So
we know what you want. What? We know what you want.
So
what do you mean you know what you want? No, we do.
So unsurprisingly, Yelp has now paused the automatic rollout of the feature and is working with GoFundMe to work out a seamless way for businesses to opt into the program. Oh, here's an idea. Send a message out to your...
Send a message to them.
Send a message out to your people with a Yelp page and say, hey, would you like us to set up a GoFundMe page for you? Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, awesome. No. I would not like you to do that. I can do that myself. I've got something else going on. Okay, I think Yelp was coming from a good place here, but their implementation of it was not super well thought out.
That might be a fair criticism, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Now, businesses must provide a copy of a personal identification card and an EID to opt out. Do you know what an EID is, Zach?
No idea.
Employer Identification Number.
There you go.
It's for, like, tax purposes. Here's the thing. Some people are not comfortable providing that information to Yelp. They don't want to take a picture of their ID and send that off to them. And some people don't have an EID. In a sole proprietorship, sole proprietorship, typically you don't have an EIN. You use your social security number. And that's definitely not something that I necessarily want to give out to Yelp. Now, Yelp said it would be waiving fees. Both Yelp and GoFundMe would match the first $1 million donated. I don't know if that means like $1 million total in this whole initiative thing here, or if that's $1 million per business. I can't imagine that would be.
Yeah, I don't think that's...
GoFundMe... Now here's the thing. So I don't know how GoFundMe works, but GoFundMe was setting up the recommended tip. And so basically, GoFundMe takes a portion of the proceeds that go to the GoFundMe campaign, and they use those to sustain their business. So you're paying like a They take a percentage, I guess,
They're
and
paying a
so
premium for the organization or whatever.
yeah, so they were setting the GoFundMe was setting the recommended tip, and like I said, that's how GoFundMe funds its operations. I guess they were taking like a 15% cut.
50?
15, 1-5.
Oh.
That's still pretty high.
Say 50? What? That is a huge amount.
15 is still a decently high number. But yeah, 15%. I don't know if you can adjust. I don't know what it means by the recommended tip. So, I don't know. Yelp does not get any portion of the donations, and some donations may be subject to payment processing fees per the terms of service of GoFundMe. So, anyway. But yeah, like, you know, again, like I said, Yelp is trying to set up this thing where they're trying to support small businesses. I think that's great. But you can't just start a fundraiser for somebody without their permission.
And not tell them about it.
Well, okay, but see, here's the thing. They tried to tell people about it, and people didn't get the memo. But there were some people that were outraged by this thing. They were like, no. I am not into this whole thing. So, yeah. Where is this? On Tuesday, Yelp announced a partnership with GoFundMe to provide a fast and easy way for people to support their favorite local businesses by donating to a GoFundMe fundraiser directly on the Yelp pages of eligible businesses. In an effort to get businesses help quickly and easily, a GoFundMe fundraiser was automatically added to the Yelp pages of an initial group of eligible businesses, with information provided on how to claim in or opt out should a business choose to do so. However, it had come to their attention, like I said, that some businesses did not receive that notification with the opt-out instructions, and some would have preferred that option to actively just opt in. The statement goes on to say, as such, we have paused the automatic rollout of this feature and are working with GoFundMe to provide a seamless way for businesses to opt into the program moving forward, and we have received a great deal of interest and support for the program from both consumers and businesses alike. I'm sure there are plenty of businesses that are okay with this idea. But you gotta ask them first. You gotta ask them first.
Well, I don't know. I think we...
Some prominent critics of Yelp's approach include Andy McMillan, an organizer of the annual Art and Technology Festival XOXO, and owner of Sucker Punch Bar in Portland, and Nick Kakonis, co-owner of the Michelin star restaurant Alian, and other Chicago-based. Anyway, it's another like Chicago-based business. Now, excuse me. McMillan specifically called out Yelp's process for opting out, which included providing Yelp with, yes, a copy of a personal identification card and an employer identification number. Yelp has since taken down McMillan's fundraiser. Now, Kakonis demanded Yelp take down the GoFundMe, while he noticed the link automatically placed on the Yelp page for his restaurant. He said, the entire situation was causing unneeded stress at a time when most business owners are simply trying to survive the current coronavirus-related lockdowns, keeping bars and restaurants from fully operating. You're familiar with that. Bars and restaurants are closed down in your area, aren't they?
There are a few places open for takeout only.
Right, yeah, okay, takeout only.
But you cannot dine in pretty much anywhere.
Right. Now, if you want to report on the worst behavior in the industry, here you go. This causes harm to our reputation, is done without consent, and is being done on a mass basis for their own benefit. Unbelievable. Oh. And it backfired on them. And no. Yelp is not taking any money from this.
Their friends at GoFundMe are.
Yeah. So Yelp does not get any portion of the donations. But here's the thing. The publicity behind it, oh, hey, look.
Is very poor. Yeah.
Right, but I think that they were thinking it was going to go the other way around. So, anyway, it's funny. Like, okay, funny, sad, say what you want. I saw an article about this family who is now stuck in like, I think it was Peru or something like that. They were on a destination dream vacation. Except for they left for spring break. Now, let's go back here a few weeks. Before spring break happened, we knew about this whole coronavirus outbreak thing.
This. That seems like their own fault.
And they decided to go. And so I was reading through the comments, and people were like, are we supposed to feel bad for these people? I feel a little bad, but like, that's kind of your own stupidity.
Kind of a questionable decision.
There you go. Okay, that's probably a better way of saying it. It's a questionable decision, which you probably shouldn't have made. Do I feel sorry for you? No, not really. If you're looking for sympathy, you're probably not going to get it. So, anyway. Apple reportedly says coating on the MacBook Air's displays can smudge, Zach.
What? I'm confused. What is this coating and why, huh?
We'll talk about it. So, MacBook Air models with Retina displays may have issues with their anti-reflective coating, which causes laptop screens to look blotchy.
So what does that mean if it smudges?
I don't know.
What happens if it smudges?
Well, it'll look blotchy.
Can you wipe it off?
I don't know if you can wipe it off or if it just creates like a...
Oh, it's just permanently like that if this happens to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Very, very unfortunate.
So this is according to Mac Rumors, and they obtained an internal memo sent by Apple to its authorized service providers. The coating is used to cut out glare and make the display easier to see, but it is prone to wearing off due to the pressure from the laptop's keys and trackpad, or by using cleaners on the screen.
Okay.
So I don't know if it just creates like this film or something like that. I don't know. So it affects models launched in October 2018, and Apple previously said other Retina displays may experience the issue as well. Fabulous!
What you're saying is they broke something again.
It includes... So this also includes models of the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pros and the discontinued 12-inch MacBooks released in early 2015 and 2017. So it goes back that far.
Fun.
And Apple quietly began repairing some laptops with worn-out displays for free in 2015, but Apple did not say in the memo if it would offer free repairs for eligible Retina MacBook Air models. So if you bring your laptop into an Apple store, which you can't do right now, you might have to pay to have this fixed. Which I think is complete BS.
Complete BS.
That is a manufacturing defect there. And should be... I feel like Apple will take care of this problem. Like, look at the butterfly switches. What a nightmare that was for them.
Yeah. And the whole battery thing, too.
Oh.
And the throttling. That was
get this. Get this. Wait, there is another Apple story in here, and when we get to it, we're going to have a great time with this one.
You have a Google? All right.
We are going to have a great time with this one. Why are these out of order? What? Oh, I see what happened. Okay, I forgot to change the title of one of these. I was like, why are these out of order? Okay, anyway. Yeah. I know. Paper copies of stuff this week. What is this? It's crazy. I actually did some prep work for the show this week. So, anyway, rather than just throwing topics into the show and hoping that they work out. So, like if you look at the rundown, like every single story is green. Usually they're all just like red boxes that are like, yeah, I didn't write anything. There's a little tiny checkbox that says final approval, and that's what gets checked after I've written like a whole story out and like have all my topics and talking points and things like that. Typically that doesn't get checked. Anyway, so moving on to one of our favorite parts of the entire show, it is time for Microsoft news. So, here's the thing. Microsoft is getting ready for a new era of Windows, Zach.
Oh, great.
So you missed last week. By the way, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you who we had on last week.
Who did we have?
So you weren't here. Who do you think we had on as a co-host last week? I did have a co-host.
I wouldn't have asked if I knew. Joe?
It was Joe. He actually did an okay job.
Have a good time?
He definitely didn't have as much input as you do, but that was to be expected. He did a great job though. So, I think he did a fine job. So, anyway, it was kind of like that episode of the WAN show that Linus Tech Tips did with Dennis on. So, anyway, so Joe is our Dennis. Anyway,
there you
go. Do you even know who that is, Zach?
Nope, playing along here.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, okay. So Microsoft is getting ready to basically launch a new era of Windows, and so what you missed last week is that they are working on this new like Windows X, Windows 10X for dual screens.
Oh, multiple screens. Okay, you have my attention.
Yeah, Windows 10X.
Can we, while we're at it, can we have some kind of a software fix for all the visual unpleasantries that happen when you put multiple screens next to each other that are the same size but different resolution? That'd be great.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like when you, let's say you have a 1440p next to a 1080p model.
Oh, where it scales everything correctly?
Yeah, where it can, the scaling can get a little wonky.
Yeah, so well, no, can't you change that in
You can, but I don't know, it really bugs me how, for example, the let's say you drag a window across your screen, right? It's gonna look all janky.
Okay.
The coordinates are gonna mismatch.
I see what you mean. Okay.
No, I don't like that. Minor complaint. I mean, doesn't really have any functional drawback, but I hate it.
All right, so I just sent you an image, and this is what Windows 10X is supposed to look like.
You no longer have my excitement. This is for mobile, isn't it?
It is.
It has nothing to do with desktop. Right, alright.
So, Windows recently has reorganized its Windows Plus devices team. They did that last month. And the changes start with a new Windows Insider leader. So, do you know what the Windows Insider program is, Zach?
You can just get updates ahead of the curve.
Right, yeah, it's supposed to be Microsoft's new testing program thing where they use just beta users basically, and then they send information back, which I guess they actually get a decent amount of feedback from. So, let's see here. So it starts with a new Windows Insider leader, Microsoft's beta program that sees millions of people testing Windows 10, and Ling Oski is her name. She has been appointed to this position. She's been with Microsoft, or she's a Microsoft and Windows veteran. Has worked for the company for more than 20 years, Zach.
Okay.
Now, here's what's funny, though. So, she previously worked on the Windows beta programs, okay, Windows Mobile, and Windows Phone. And we all know what happened to that.
And we all know that it's going to, yeah, okay. Yep. All right, gotcha.
And we all know what happened to the Windows Phone. So
Into the dumpster.
now, Langowski says, in my first 30 days as the Windows leader, as I've been spending time listening, learning, and working with the team to build a version of the next era of Windows, I've been in awe of the Insider Group and the level of dedication and depth of knowledge they have. Actually, that comes from Pane, who is... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Placing Surface Chief Panos Pane in charge of the Windows, in charge of both Windows and hardware. Okay, so this is what he's saying. Let's see. Pane, in a new blog post the other day, said, to keep this momentum going and to continue to grow the initiative of Windows, it's clear we need the right person to lead this powerful community into the next era, which is why I'm excited to announce Amanda Langowski as the new lead for the Windows Insider program. So that's what she is. She's the lead for the Windows Insider program. So, now Microsoft is now getting ready to basically build a version, or to build a vision now of where Windows is going to go next, which, you know, is going to get interesting. Who knows what that's going to look like?
Tells me it's not going to look favorable.
Microsoft has tried a variety of ways to entice creators to Windows over the past 5 years, and has walked back some of those changes. Yeah, like, oh, I don't know, the Metro interface, maybe? That disaster? Or what? Or were you just... Oh, were you saying warp? Okay, yep. Now, the pace of updates has also slowed over the past 12 months. I wonder if that's because maybe there have been so many issues with them.
Maybe. I don't know about that. I mean, problems?
This leaves Windows fans and testers wondering what's coming next, however. I'm curious. I'm curious to know what you're going to screw up next, Microsoft.
Nothing. We know what you want.
Well, let's cut to the graphic of the Windows 10X here. Yeah, Microsoft is focused on this whole... And here's what worries me. So Microsoft is focused on this Windows 10X for dual screen devices things. What are they going to bring to the desktop?
Probably nothing, and honestly, it's probably for the better that...
No. It says plenty of changes are coming to the desktop version as well.
Oh, okay. I take that back.
Yeah!
Okay, well, is it time to, maybe
Linux!
Watch out for that, and...
Linux!
No. How about halt updates right now? Nope.
We want to move...
Works.
Well, okay, so here's what Satya Nadella is saying. He's the CEO of Microsoft. We want to move from people needing Windows 10 to choosing Windows 10 to loving Windows. That's great.
They're not helping.
That's great. I would love to love Windows. But you gotta change some things. For the most part, Windows 10 is not a bad operating system. We've said that in the past before.
I don't know. They don't need to do much of anything to it.
Yeah, maybe roll some things back, like, the ability to... Well, here's the thing.
Things they could do so easily.
Well, think about it. Okay, so the control panel? Like, why?
The control panel still exists, but they seem to want to get rid of it, and then every chance
here's the thing.
Replace everything with settings menu.
Here's the thing. I'm okay with the settings menu. I'm slowly starting to learn it. But why do we have this weird, like, settings menu and a control panel still? Why isn't it one or the other?
Yeah, I don't.
And there are other interfaces like that in Windows.
That is a thing, yes. I don't really have an answer for you there.
Here's the thing, though. So
I think that's kind of dumb.
What we could be seeing is this idea of more simplifications for Windows coming.
Please no.
Like new icons, which has started to roll out. Actually, I have the new icons in my start menu. I think they look okay. I don't think they look that bad. There is this thing where they are going to, I guess, maybe be looking at getting rid of live tiles.
I don't use those.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, and that's why they're probably looking at getting rid of them. Here's the one that worries me. Tweaks to the start
what
menu.
generally worries me to begin with is, I guess features and changes that push Windows towards that kind of blur the line between desktop and mobile. I don't like that.
Yeah,
Because,
so they're saying
my
tweaks.
phone is my phone, and my tablet is my tablet, and my computer is my computer. I don't want an operating system that goes on all three. I don't want an operating system to be mediocre at all three.
Hey, Zach.
What?
So you're talking about this idea of a cross-based opera. I feel like Microsoft.
Did Microsoft have something like
that? Did Microsoft try to do something with that?
Honestly, I don't remember. Just can't remember.
Oh man,
Windows.
I feel like it had something to do with Windows 8, and there was this weird thing with a weird start menu.
Oh, okay. And, yeah,
how did
like that? Like,
how did that work out for them?
It needs to stay largely the same, but make a few changes, mostly to, I would almost say to, for lack of a better word, to policy than anything. Like, how they want to push updates out to everybody and their gram.
Okay, so here's the thing
like
about
that.
this.
That stuff needs to change, and the data harvesting. Like, make Windows free if they're harvesting all your data. Fine.
I think the thing is, though, is that in the next couple of years,
why do you have to have all your data harvested?
In the next couple of years, Windows 10
probably
likely
going
will
to be
free,
and there probably won't be an option to pay for it to opt out of the data harvesting. Nope, you're.
Well, you'll probably have professional versions that'll probably still have some form
and they'll
of
still be harvesting something. Of course they will. They will.
So here's the thing. I'm looking for a good picture of this, which we kind of showed, but let me grab that graphic again here. Is if you look at this, if you look at the picture of this, and this is like what they're planning for, like the surfaces here, right? If you look at this here, you can see the simplified graphics that are in it, and this theory, or this design that looks very similar to, what does this remind you of, Zach? What does that design remind you of?
A mobile operating system? I don't know. What are you getting at here?
I was thinking Chromebook, Chrome OS.
The same one?
Yeah.
The same screenshot?
Yeah.
I guess I haven't really used Chrome OS that much, but I've seen. I guess maybe I could see it. I don't know. It wasn't the first thing that came to mind.
It does to me, and here's why: is that I actually work with Chrome OS on a device. So,
perhaps you're a greater authority on the subject than I am.
We have my employer sent out Chromebooks to at least all the corporate stores, and here's a good picture right here. Oh, God. I hate this stupid. You remember back in the days when you used to be able to just click on a picture in Google Images, and it would take you to the image? Now it doesn't do that anymore, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, I can. Okay, I can see the resemblance there. Right.
So there's Windows 10X. There's Google Chrome.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. All right, that is very similar. Wow.
Now that you've got them side by side, you can definitely tell.
I definitely see the resemblance there.
So that's what I'm saying. It looks very, very much like Chrome OS. Which, honestly, Chrome OS is not that horrible. When you think about it, what do most people do everything in these days, Zach?
Browser.
Exactly. And that's essentially what Chrome OS is. It's designed to essentially just have a browser running on it, is all. So, which, Now I can actually run through Citrix. Is it?
Oh, I hate Citrix.
Or
Oh my god. Ugh.
is it Citrix?
Citrix is horrible.
Um. No, it's not Citrix. Back when I was in high school, though, we had you could log into your account from online using Citrix.
Citrix is the worst piece of crap.
It might actually be through Cisco. I think it's through Cisco. Anyway, oh, I don't think I can. I think they blocked that page. Yeah, I think it might be through Cisco. But anyway, it's some like kind of remote desktop connection software kind of thing that like loads up application into your computer, and we use it for our like old like point of sale system. So what's really weird about our point of sale system is that we took a solution that was built by an actual company that actually builds point of sale software, and it stores all the data in an SQL database. And then we had our own developers come in and develop a web-based version, but we can still use the old system to like pull data and things like that. It's really weird. And the old system is obviously way more reliable. Unlike our web-based version, which goes down all the time. But yeah, anyway. So, yeah, Windows 10X. What will they take from it? What will end up showing up in the desktop version of Windows 10? But I agree with you. There needs to be separation between the two platforms. So, I think Apple has done a really good job of this. So, even between there's iOS, there's iPadOS, and then there's Mac OS X. And each one is different. There are a lot of things that are cross-platform. So, like, you can go to the App Store and you can download the Twitter app. But it is in a desktop version on your desktop.
Yep,
and
that's nice.
On your iPad, it's the iPad version. On your mobile device, it's the mobile version. That's how you do it. But then Apple has this great seamless, what is it? Continuity, I think, is what it is. Or handoff. It might be actually called handoff. Where if I have my phone and I'm looking at a web page or something in Safari, I walk up to my laptop, I can actually grab what's on and I think you can do this with Chrome right now, but I can grab what's happening on my browser on my phone and pull up that same page and take right over on my desktop.
There is unfortunately a cost to that, and that cost is that you have to give them what you do.
No. I think it's seamless between. It's through the devices. It's through Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's only locally. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only local. Apple is actually, that's one thing that Apple is actually really good about is security, I think. I will give Apple that. Look, I'll give credit where credit is due. So, anyway. Wrong pile. Next topic. NVIDIA is adding control to GeForce Now and promises new games every week, Zach. Okay, as somebody who games, I want to know what your thought is on this whole idea of...
Remote play can never be as good as local. Never.
I agree.
Not until everybody has gigabit internet in their house and no data. Can't be that good.
I agree.
And I've used remote desktop applications that, are, designed to be low latency and all that, and it's never the same as sitting down at your computer because of the compression on the video it's gonna be a big hit to the quality.
Now you've used like a remote through Chrome, like remote desktop through Chrome.
Oh well, that's not.
No, doesn't Chrome have like some built-in like remote desktop software kind of thing?
It's a software made by Google that is it works anywhere. You don't have to
Right.
use Chrome.
But
In any case,
that what I'm saying is though is like what's the experience like?
it's quite high latency.
Okay.
Quite high latency not very good frame rate. Wouldn't even think about trying to play a game on it.
I wouldn't either. So.
Not very good. But in any case, again, the internet connections for people just aren't really there. Some people it probably works fine, but unless you're one of the lucky few who have a nice internet service provider.
Yeah, let's see here. There we go. I meant to send this to you earlier. See if that will open. It should.
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to scroll down to this one, because now you know way more about gaming, these games than I probably do.
What are we talking about here? What do you want to know?
Well, we'll get there. Just follow along, and I'll let you know when I need your help. You should be on page 1, 2, like page 4.
Yeah, I know. I see it. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. So yeah, NVIDIA says it's GeForce Now Cloud. This might give you, if you're reading through this, there might be some things in here that jump out to you. So anyway, but this is more like in your realm because I don't really game that much. But yeah, so NVIDIA says its GeForce Now cloud gaming service will start getting new games every Thursday, starting with Remedy Entertainment's sci-fi action title Control. Have you? I've never seen this game before. Have you?
I've seen it. I don't have it.
Okay. See, that's the thing. These titles that you've gotten here, you can tell me how sought after they are.
This is a fairly high profile release.
So this announcement is a bit of good news for the controversial platform. Now, have you heard the controversies behind like GeForce?
Well, they've lost some games because
so they've seen
publishers have just said, "Nah, we don't want you."
Yeah, so they've seen high-profile game publishers pull their entire library since it exited beta back in February, including Activision Blizzard, Bethesda Studios, right?
Yes.
And 2K Games. So okay, Blizzard is you probably know some of the works from some of these companies. So what have we lost? What big titles from Blizzard? Do you know?
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
I said you probably know some of these developers better than I do. So like what significant titles would you have lost from like say Blizzard?
Oh gosh, I mean they have some huge games. Like, I mean, surely you've heard of like World of Warcraft and Overwatch.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
I mean, those are like household names. God.
See, that's the thing. I just don't game, so I don't know what studios have built these games. But as soon as you say that, like, yeah. What about like Bethesda Studio or Softworks? Like, what big titles from them?
Probably the biggest names you could attribute to them would be, I suppose, if you're talking about stuff that they've developed. The Fallout and Elder Scrolls are the largest IPs that are currently circulating for them. They do have like a sort of a publishing arm as well.
Oh, and I'm sure those
for
titles
example,
have been
like
pulled.
the new, there was a new Doom game that just came out that's going to be published by them.
Sure, and I'm sure that those titles are probably licensed through them, so those have probably been pulled too. What about 2K Games?
I don't know what's happened since then. They have a lot of sports games and.
Oh, okay. See, because I've heard of like Blizzard and I've heard of Bethesda, but I've never heard of 2K Games. So anyway, but yeah, so Control can now be played on GeForce Now using NVIDIA's RTX card, Zach.
Woohoo!
Which enables ray tracing for more realistic visualizations.
I still don't understand that whole thing. Like, it's one thing if you want one of these cards because they're powerful, but the ray tracing is not. crazy.
Is it a thing though? Well, okay, but see, how many games actually support ray tracing too? That could be the other thing. But is it one
There
of those
aren't
things?
too many. There are there's some. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
Is it this thing though where
Most of the recent very high profile releases support.
here's the thing though. Is it this thing where you get a ray tracing card and it's like when I switched from a mechanical drive to an SSD. It's like, nope, I can never go back.
Gonna be like that. I've seen side by side screenshots. It's not like that. I mean,
But you
I've
haven't
also seen
you
some
haven't actually
testimonies that
experienced it
say-
though.
I've seen some testimonies that are like, "Oh, I can never go back," and I'm like, really have a hard time believing that.
Here's the thing though, you haven't experienced it in real life.
Like, sure, not well, okay, but you can go online and see what it looks like side by side.
Yeah, but is that the
That
same
is
as seeing it in
still-
real? Here's the thing though, how's that
Quite
how's that
comparable.
how is that being presented through the materials that you're seeing, through the media that you're seeing? Because here's the thing, is that here's one thing that's really really hard to do is reviews on headphones or anything that has to do with sound, because it's so subjective and it's hard to convey exactly what the sound is like through another set of speakers.
Okay, but you can still like go on YouTube and look for a side-by-side comparison of a game with ray tracing on and ray tracing off.
That's true, but how is it being presented through your monitor?
Well, I
How's
mean,
it-
there's not exactly any special ray tracing monitors that exist. It's the same.
Okay, how is it being
do you
presented
mean?
through the camera to your monitor?
It's just a screen capture. I don't understand.
Oh, okay, screen. Okay,
It's just a screen capture. Yeah, I mean, you are seeing exactly what the person playing sees. I don't
Okay.
get it.
I guess. Okay.
Like, I mean, if you bought one of these new cards, you're not. It's not a new monitor. It's a new card.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I get that. I just wasn't sure. Like, I was going back to the whole theory of like sound, where it's like it's really hard to convey that sound and the quality of the sound.
Yeah, and I get
through-
what you're saying, but I mean, it's kind of different for display.
I guess. Okay. Anyway, so
I mean, like you could. It's just like, for example, you could look at I don't know.
you
just
could
take a
be
game
less sensitive
and
to
then
it though.
you could look at graphical screenshots of a game and then a sequel a few years later, and
Yeah.
be like, well, this is the difference. Here's all these upgrades they've done.
And
Blah,
you could
blah,
be
blah.
less sensitive to it. Here's the thing. So, uh, when Joe owned a MacBook for about 24 hours, he picked one up
Nice.
without a Retina display, and he could tell the difference between his display on his current laptop and like the one on the lap and the one on the MacBook, I guess, or something like that. So I couldn't tell it. I can't tell the difference between like a Retina screen and a non-Retina screen. And maybe I just don't care. That could be the other thing. But so that's what I'm saying. Maybe you just don't care. Or it's not as noticeable to you versus somebody else who's like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome." I don't know. That might be a thing.
Maybe.
So they're saying that it's not clear how NVIDIA secured control, but Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney has publicly expressed his support for NVIDIA GeForce Now. So Control is currently an Epic Games Store exclusive on PC, but Epic
Well,
just
there are
secured
many things.
Epic just secured the rights to future titles by Remedy Entertainment.
I don't think many people are very fond of what they're doing.
Of what who are doing.
The Epic Games Store.
Okay, so walk me
They
through.
basically have timed exclusivity of games. You can't buy it anywhere else. The only other place you can get it is to
Isn't that like what all the streaming services are doing right now, though? Like Disney Plus.
Yeah, pretty much. And nobody's really happy about it there either. Like, you know,
Yeah,
you
but
mean to
people are
tell me
still
I have to
paying
use
for it.
this streaming software? Yeah, and people are, and that's why they're still doing it, because they're making boatloads of money. Because at the end of the day, people just like, you know, people maybe they're just fans of a game. You know, they just want to play the game. They don't Or maybe they don't like that they have to use this launcher instead of that one for it, but they're still gonna buy.
So Epic.
And at the end of the day, I think that's the biggest problem is that it's not enough of a complaint.
Mm. So
It's
Epic.
not a big enough problem for people to close their.
Mm. So what titles would I know from Epic? From Epic Games.
Fortnite.
Okay. Yep.
Develop that.
There we go. Thank you.
That
I tried to download it. It's like 60 gigs.
But I mean, they do develop games, but they're also now the operators of this very large storefront, and that's, I guess, a big new business for them.
Okay.
They also make the Unreal Engine, which is used by a lot of games.
Oh yeah. And okay, so Remedy Entertainment, are you familiar with them? And if you are, do you
Really
like
all, to be honest.
Okay, I was gonna say like what titles do they have? But anyway, older publishers.
There was something they had before Control. I don't know. I remember seeing like, oh, this game's coming out and it's from the people who made this and that, and I was like, whatever.
So older publishers pulled titles, and did not appreciate NVIDIA including them without express permission and under older terms. So I guess this is the big thing, is that GeForce Now is letting players access existing purchases through Valve. GeForce Now is letting players access existing purchases through Valve's Steam on any device, which presents.
And that's cool. And why are they ruining it? I don't.
Well, it presents an unpredictable licensing and legality issue.
You know what the real problem is that those companies aren't getting a paycheck from NVIDIA.
Exactly, and that is
their service.
And
that is
their
real problem.
That is their biggest complaint with what GeForce Now does.
I mean, I think that's really dumb because if you bought a game, you deserve to play it wherever, however you want.
No. I think what's happening is that.
Doesn't matter if it's a remote PC in an NVIDIA data center. Who cares?
Oh, okay, yeah.
For a PC, you bought a license to play the game.
No. That's not what they're saying. I think what they're saying is that you pay for NVIDIA GeForce Now, and then you have access to this giant library.
Oh, no, you don't. You don't get to play games that you don't own. You sign in to, like, your Steam account, for example, and then you get to play games that you have on Steam. Or your Epic Games account. You get to play games that you have there.
This is what this is saying. Other publishers did not appreciate NVIDIA including their titles without express permission.
Right, yes, I get it. But you don't, if you sign up for this and then...
So maybe I understood this incorrectly. The way I understood it was that you paid for the NVIDIA GeForce Now experience, and then you had
sign up for GeForce Now,
right?
And you want to play such and such game, but you don't own it. You don't get to play it until you buy it.
Okay, but like, can't you sign into Steam on multiple devices?
Yeah, you can. That's the funny thing. Is that okay? So let's say you own one of these games, and you own it on Steam. You sign up for GeForce Now, and then you want to play that game. You just sign into your Steam account, and you can play it on GeForce
This
Now,
opens up an interesting.
But they don't like that, and I think the real reason they don't like it is because they're not getting paid whenever somebody does that.
This is an interesting.
They're basically not getting more money on top of what the purchaser already paid.
But okay, so here's the thing. Back in the day, let's go back, a couple years when we were in elementary school and we were playing games.
A couple of years, I think that's a bit more. But yeah, you get it.
Okay, right. But let's go back to the days of when we were playing EA titles, right? You get a CD, you own the physical copy of the CD. Yes. That doesn't happen anymore. Now you own a digital license. So do you actually own them? And here's the thing. Do you actually own it? Or are you just licensing it?
Yep, exactly. You're right. You're completely right. They don't want you to own it. They want to maintain the ability to take it away from you anytime they want.
See, I have the entire Adobe Creative Suite, but I pay a subscription fee for it. Do I technically own it? No, I own the right to use it.
They can take it from you anytime they want. I'm sure that's a clause in their terms of service too.
I own the right to use it. I don't physically own it.
Of course, yep.
But there's that same thing is like with Mac OS. Do you actually own Mac OS? No. You have the right to use it by owning a Mac.
Personally, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter that much to me. Like if I bought a game and some company just revoked my license to it, I'd happily go on Pirate Bay and download it.
See, and here's the
I
thing.
don't
So
care.
so
I have
Nvidia.
no problem with that, but other people do. And I also agree that that's a really stingy policy.
So here's the thing though. So Nvidia, if they want to include these titles, may have to either offer a cut or pay a licensing fee to publishers.
Yeah, Nvidia has a lot of money, so they're probably just gonna cave in and.
Anyway, okay, so titles being included.
They're in a good spot right now, though. I mean, I think I saw some articles claiming that GeForce Now is actually pretty good as a functional piece of software, especially compared to Stadia. Ugh. Stadia was said to be horrible.
Yeah, I've not heard great things about Stadia.
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because doesn't Google own Google Fi? So I wonder if you have a Google Fi connection, if it's any better.
I don't know.
But you would think Google would have the processing power to push that through, if that's where the issue is.
Well, I mean, they basically lied about stuff like, oh yeah, such and such will be in 4K resolution, 60 FPS. It's not. I forget which game it was, but that was a thing that I read somewhere. Like some game that was, they explicitly said it's going to be in, it's going to perform to these specifications, and it came out and it just did not at all. Didn't.
So this,
and there's many instances of stuff like that.
Okay, so there's a list of titles here. Any of these stand out to you, Zach?
None of these really.
No. What's probably the one that stands out the most?
They're adding like anything they can. Probably That's an older release. Probably Arma 2. It's an older release though. I mean, it's good that they're adding older games though. Like they should add everything they can get their hands on. That's good.
Oh, okay. Arma 2. How do you pronounce some of these?
I don't know. I've never even heard of a lot of these.
Trigger Happy Havoc, Dungeons 3. See, that's the one that I feel like people might know, but maybe not.
Really? I've never heard of that. Whatever.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking. I might be thinking of like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Good that they add everything they can get their hands. Because I mean, there's not really anything that can be bad about that. More choices.
Right. Yeah. We'll see what happens. So, whatever. Gonna put those there. Moving on to our last major story for this week. Yeah, Verizon is giving all mobile customers 15 gigabytes of extra data during the coronavirus pandemic, Zach.
Wow, 15 gigabytes. That's like one movie. Make it count.
Well, okay, so Verizon has announced that it will be automatically adding 15 gigabytes of high-speed data to wireless plans, which is in response to the coronavirus pandemic. It'll also be waiving overage charges and late fees for those affected by the crisis. See, and here's the thing. A lot of companies are doing this, so, like, what's the point?
Wait, so how come... So if they're waiving overage charges, can you just go over as much as you want?
See, I don't know.
How come they're giving you extra 15 gigabytes if they're not even going to charge you when you go over? I'd just go over. Screw it then.
Right. Let's see.
Whatever.
Yeah, they'll also waive overage charges and late fees for those affected by the crisis, and waive internet and voice services for those on its discount Lifeline plan. I love how they call it Lifeline.
God, that's just such a... I'd be insulted.
Right.
What they think of me.
They also reiterated its previous pledge of free international calling. Okay. Now, these changes are in response to the FCC's 60-day Keep Americans Connected pledge, which was asked from by Ajit Pai.
And so again, we are proving that the networks, the infrastructure can handle this. So
They definitely
why
can.
are we so
But
stingy?
here's what
Are we're stingy about this because our networks can't handle it? Is that what we're saying, Verizon? I don't know about
I think the more ironic thing is the fact that Ajit Pai destroys net neutrality and now is asking for all the telecommunication companies to basically like not charge overage fees and
Well, I'm sure they're happy to do it because they know they've got him in his back pocket when they really
but
their back pocket when they really need it.
yeah, so it asks U.S. internet service providers to not terminate service for residential and small business customers, waive late fees incurred as a result of the pandemic, provide open access public Wi-Fi hotspots to any American who needs them, and urges companies to suspend data caps and fees for long-distance calls. Let's see. And I think that's from... I don't know if the 60 days is from March 25th through April 30th, or if that's just
I'm
what
sure they're
Verizon
going to
is
be
doing.
making money hand over fist right now. I mean,
Verizon consumers...
It just goes to show that, you know, even when they do these things that they say they can't do, they're still incredibly
I want
profitable.
to have a discussion about this in a second. Let's get through these topic points real quick here, though. Now, Verizon consumers and small business customers with metered data plans will get that 15 gigabytes added, and that can be used for hotspot, smartphone, or like other device data, basically.
Hey Verizon, how about can my hotspot do faster than 600 kilobits per second? That'd be nice.
Verizon Unlimited customers will also get 15 gigabytes of 4G LTE hotspot data added. Let's see. And Verizon is removing overage charges, but not data caps for mobile customers.
You still pay if you use too much gigabytes.
Right. So how far can you go over? That's the question.
I don't freaking know.
So here's the other thing. So Comcast suspended its internet data caps for 60 days and is waiving overages for home customers. T-Mobile removed data caps and gave customers 20 gigabytes of additional data. AT&T is not removing caps, but it's waiving domestic wireless plan overage charges for data. And Ajit Pai said virtually every major broadband telecommunication business has committed to the pledge, including, I've got Charter in here, Charter. If you look at the names that I put in here, I mistyped these. I put in Charger and Spring.
Oof. Thanks.
I meant Charter and Sprint. And many others. But yes, okay, so yes, let's have a discussion about this. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. But here's the thing, is in the wake of a pandemic where more people are working from home, there's more stress on the networks. And we see this because here's the thing, okay? YouTube has announced that it will be reducing streaming quality for users around the world. Especially in Europe,
Okay.
where the, it comes from just 1 week after YouTube announced it was reducing streaming quality for users in Europe to help lessen broadband strain and more people are at home. We're putting more strain on, and the infrastructures are probably different between the US and Europe, but we're putting more strain, no doubt, on these systems. But
yet they still work.
But yet they still work, and they're still working surprisingly well, and we're giving people more bandwidth on it for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of...
We're increasing people's
And you're
speeds.
telling me we need to implement data caps. Why? Because the networks can't handle it? Something just
So,
seems
okay,
wrong.
hang on. As you say that,
I understand.
As you say that, I think in a certain realm, yes, data caps are probably important, but at probably some
never exist. Nope.
But at some
Nope.
Well, okay, but think about this, okay? Think about people just using
bad principle, really.
Well, I think what you do is you set a data cap at some like super high number.
You're saying at some astronomical number.
Right, at some astronomical number.
Like only abusers. Okay, but
right,
how about
exactly.
like let's say we detect abusers and we contact them and be like, hey, what's going on?
Well, yeah, you could do that too.
You know, like if we're talking about setting the cap so high that only a few people are reaching that, that's not necessarily an unrealistic thing to say.
And that's what I'm saying. I think data caps necessarily, like, overall are not maybe necessarily a bad thing, but most telecommunication companies set them, I think, way too low.
I think they are.
And so I can see them being implemented in for...
Because gigabytes are not a limited resource.
Right, and I can see them being implemented in for abusers, for abuse, right? But that's why I say at some astronomically high number. But our infrastructure is fine. It's doing fine.
Yep.
So hang on one second here. Let me hit a button here real quick. We'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, broadband...
Data caps are the worst.
Huh?
Data caps are the worst. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But yeah, our infrastructures are fine. They're totally fine.
And that's exactly why I disagree with your saying, well, maybe we could have them at some huge amount. Well, no, the infrastructure's working fine right now.
Right, but here's the thing.
See,
do people abuse...
Heavily increased
Here's the thing, though. Do people abuse it, though? That's why I'm thinking that.
Sure, there are some people who do, but I mean, they're the exception, not the rule, really. If you think of.
Oh yeah, that's true. And that's why I'm
not
saying.
Not only that, but there are internet service providers that don't have data caps. What do they do about people who abuse?
You know what? That's a very good question because that's
probably
a very good question.
Nothing because they're probably fine and they don't care.
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, you know what?
Performing inadequately.
I have not noticed a problem with my internet whatsoever.
Yep.
In the midst of this, and my actually, you know what our local telecommunication company did?
They do.
What they're doing is no, but if I ask them to increase the speed, they will for 3 months for nothing.
I'd take advantage then. Why not?
Actually, I might ask them about that. I don't really have the need though. But anyway, actually, maybe I do. I am doing classes online. So, anyway, but yeah, I guess if we ask them to increase our speeds, they will for the next 3 months at no additional charge, which is actually kind of cool. And yeah, no data caps whatsoever. So yeah, I guess you're right.
I don't see them having any trouble with their infrastructure or anything.
Right. Yeah. In fact, our local telecommunication company has invested heavily in fiber to the home. Now, not every part of our community has fiber to the home, but they're working on implementing it and rolling it out. And they have been for a long time, but they're doing it. And so, if the small town, now granted, I live in a pretty wealthy community, but even still, like a lot of telecommunication companies around this area have been doing that. But yeah, so here's what's going to be interesting to see is. Do we now create a backlash after all this pandemics thing is over on telecommunication companies, or do we just accept that things are going to go back to the way that they were? Probably.
I feel like probably the latter is what's going to happen, but I don't think that's how it should.
No, I feel like people should be like, okay, so in the midst of this...
People need to call them out on the crap they spouted before all of this. That's what they need to do.
Right, in the midst of this crisis, you were able to...
What happened to the fact that we, couldn't remove data caps and...
Right, yeah, like, where did we all of a sudden get all this extra?
Just stop being, like, human garbage for a few months.
Like, where did we all of a sudden...
Baloney reasons for that.
Yeah, where did we all of a sudden get all this extra bandwidth just randomly all of a sudden?
Oh, don't you know? They just,
They just pumped up more bandwidth at the bandwidth factory. So anyway, okay.
We had the gigabyte miners work overtime, I tell you.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So but YouTube is reducing streaming quality, so it'll automatically be set at 480p. You can change that.
Yikes.
Well,
That's
it'll
horrible.
automatically be at that, but you can change it to anything higher than you want. So you can go back up to 1080p if you want. Just know that by default it'll be set at 480p, and it's to help reduce streaming, or to like strain on the
480's rough.
on broadband systems and things like that. Anyway, Netflix is also doing that, and like other companies, they've been doing it in Europe primarily, but they'll see if they need to implement it anywhere else. Let's see. Amazon is giving workers a letter to prove that they are doing an essential job. I got one of these from my employer.
God, Amazon. Anything about Amazon and workers.
They're giving warehouses and delivery workers letters to carry saying that they are engaged in essential work. It's written on Amazon letterhead and includes a paragraph addressed to law enforcement with a phone number that they can use to verify that the person is actually an employee, I guess. Department of Homeland Security considers the following essential services: warehouses, logistics, food delivery. There's probably many others, but Amazon can fit under many of those. I did read something, though, that, like, there were, like, people in the, like, Amazon warehouses that had been, like, exposed to the coronavirus, and Amazon just conveniently forgot to tell their employees.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a thing. Like, oh, so someone here has been exposed to the virus. That means that I may have been exposed to it.
No, you don't need to know about that.
But yeah, you
Doesn't work.
you don't
Slave,
need to-
just work.
You don't need to know about that. Anyway, okay,
Back to work.
here's the one that I really wanted to get to. Several ARM-based Mac laptops and desktops are coming next year, Zach.
Fun. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
No,
to be honest.
ARM-based processors?
Perhaps the thermal performance will be a little bit better. I really wouldn't have much to say as far as like the software goes. You know, like I know there are huge implications for the software on those machines as well.
The Mac's
Wouldn't really be
long-rumored
able to tell you much
transition
about-
from Intel processors to Apple's own ARM designs could be swifter and more extensive than you might have expected.
I am sure that Intel executives are not having a good time with.
Yeah, Apple is planning to release several ARM-based Macs in 2021, both laptop and desktop form factors, and switching to ARM will allow Apple to reduce its processor cost by 40 to 60%, gaining and also gaining more flexibility over its hardware lineup. Okay, yeah. Wait, I feel like Apple like tried to design like their own processors at one point. What? Something to do with like Motorola and like what was that? Oh yeah, the Power PC, and that did not end up working out. The Power PC is dead.
We'll see what happens.
Apple would launch its first ARM-based laptops in the fourth quarter of this year or the first quarter of next, and ARM designs are usually associated with. What are they usually associated with, Zach? Yeah, mobile devices, giving them greater power efficiency. It gives products like the iPad a long battery life without the need for active cooling. The notion of ARM desktops is perhaps more intriguing, however, though. Power efficiency is closely related to performance, and mobile ARM devices run at lower power.
That's a big advantage for them.
Yeah. So they preserve battery life and run cool in a thin form factor. Okay. So the one benefit I can see from this for Apple is that, yes, your devices are going to run much cooler because they won't be able to take on heavy tasks, probably.
Well, I mean, we are talking about something more beefy than chip found in a phone.
I don't know what that's going to look like.
But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see what the performance applications look like.
That's where I thought you were going to have more on this topic than you actually did. I thought you were going to criticize
yeah, I mean, I
this
think
thing.
it'll be interesting, but I don't.
I want to see. I want
I
to see.
wouldn't be able to estimate what the implications might be.
You know what, though? Is that, well, okay, so something like Final Cut Pro, which is designed to work pretty well even on low-grade hardware, probably won't have a problem. But you start talking about professional software, like Premiere Pro and things like that. I wonder what that's going to look like on these devices. And it's really funny is that Apple is geared as being the product or the brand for creators. Typically, creation software requires, think Photoshop. Photoshop is not an easy program to run. You need some hardware for that. So I wonder what this is going to look like for Apple. Maybe they'll implement it well. Like, yeah, sure. Okay. iPads are decently powerful for what they are, but we're also talking a mobile platform here. We're not talking a desktop that's designed to run, desktop apps.
No, we're not.
I wonder what that looks like for, I was going to say, I wonder what that looks like for development of software, but a lot of software comes through, the App Store for Apple products. So I wonder how much recoding is going to have to be done. I mean, like, do you remember we talked about how Apple basically broke things with the update of Catalina because they dropped support for 32-bit apps? And there were still,
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, and there were still programs that weren't running at, in a 64-bit compatible version. And it broke a bunch of stuff. We'll see what happens with these ARM-based processors. The same thing happens. So, anyway, it'll be interesting to follow. It definitely will be. But, anyway. With that said, I don't have anything else for the show this week.
Not me either.
So, anyway. Crap. We have been on just me for the last, I don't know how long. But anyway, at least we weren't sitting on black.
Oh, God, are you kidding me? Nice one.
Well, it's not like the double box really means anything. I mean, you're just a graphic.
I thought you meant the voice.
Oh, no. No. Both our mics have been on. That's been fine. I'm just talking the actual graphic. Normally there's the double box up, which is me and then a silhouette.
Not me.
Right. Because absolutely no one knows what you look like. Unless I met you in person before. So, anyway, but, yeah. Anyway, so it's fine. It's probably all fine. But, anyway. So, no, yeah, the audio's been fine, though. That has not been a problem. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't have anything else. So, thanks for joining us. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment down below. Get subscribed to the channel if you haven't done it already. Turn on the bell for notifications. All that fun stuff. Stay safe. Self-quarantine. Play a bunch of games. Yeah, anyway. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.